This is Gemara in Kesubos, Daf Yomi, beginning a new parak, beginning the second parak. I just want to apologize. I know that yesterday's share was a little bit fast. In truth, all the concepts that we learned, called kavua, kamechsa, amechsa, that you go basar roiv, ochanach roiv, they're very deep and extremely complicated concepts. Hopefully, we got the very, very basics. That whenever something is stationary, kavua, then it's mechsa 50-50, which will result in a stringency in general. Although we found leniencies as well, and as well that called the parish meiruba parish. When something is on the move, something that was moved away from the group, then we go with the majority. But for now, let's begin a new parak, Tezvav Mebeis, the Mishnah. Ha'isha, a woman, shenis armela, oy niskarsha. A woman that nisarmela means she became a widow, from the word of almana, oy niskarsha, or she became divorced. He oimeres besula nisasani. She says, when I originally got married, I was a besula. So now, what do I get? A 200 mana Kesuba, and the husband says, husband, wait, I thought he died. We said in his armla. So Rashi right away points off it's going on the case of divorce, and the case of Almana is that the Yarshim are the ones coming to Bezin and talking. And he says, no, Almana nisasicha, you got married in the state of an Almana, meaning you only get 100 mana Ksuba. So now, the Mishnah is going to teach us that if there were Eidim at the wedding, and if the Eidim knew that what type of wedding was this was a wedding of a Basula, a wedding of a woman that was never previously married, then she gets her 200 Ksuba. Now, what do the Eidim see at the wedding? Says the Mishnah, Yatza Behinuma, she went out with a Hinuma, which the Gemara is going to explain what that means. V'roisha Parua, or she went out with her hair down. As Rashi says, that was the custom that when a Basula got married, she would go down with her hair down with her shoulders, where they took from her father's house to the chuppah. Then Ksubasa Masayim. Then she gets 200. Also, if they would give out klayos, his parched grain at the wedding, raya, that's also a proof that it was a wedding of a basula. So if we have edim, if we have witnesses that testify that what type of wedding was it, however many years ago, 1, 2, 20, 50, 70 years ago, whatever it was, then she gets 200 mana. Umayda Rabbi Yeshua. Now the Mishnah, almost like a middle sentence, is Umayda Rabbi Yeshua. Umayda Rabbi Yeshua. Who's Rabbi Yeshua Umayda to? The Gemara will discuss, of course. Umayda Rabbi Yeshua, if someone says to his friend, this field is yours, this field was yours, this field was your father's, and I bought from him, then that he is believed. Before we turn over, everyone realized at some level, Rabbi Yeshua jogs our brain back to the previous few days' daf, in which we had the machlekes of Gamliel and Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Gamliel usually said the woman was Naaman, Rabbi Yeshua said no. So here Rabbi Yeshua is maidat to something which we'll have to see in the Gemara what that means. Why in this case you believe, says Rabbi Yeshua, the famous rules. We turn over to Tezayin Amud Aleph. This guy never had to open up his mouth. He says, by the way, this field, it used to be your father's, but I bought it. If he said nothing, he's in the field, it's his field. So the fact that Pesha Aser, the mouth that made it forbidden, the mouth that said this field was your father's, also said that I bought it, so therefore he is believed to say that. But the Mishnah concludes, but let's say there were witnesses that the field is not his, that the field was his father's, therefore he no longer has his Pesha Aser, he's not the one that's saying it's forbidden. The Eidim are telling us that. And all he says, I bought it from him, then he is not believed. So we have two parts. We have two parts of the Mishnah. Part A of the Mishnah is figuring out when a woman gets married as a besula, and part B of the Mishnah is of Yeshua being maidem. So says the Gemara, Taima deika edim. The first part of the Mishnah, when does the woman get the ksuba of 200? If she had edim, if she has witnesses that said she got married as a besula. Halaka edim. The obvious implication of the Mishnah is if there were no edim, then Baal Mammon, then the husband is believed. Asks the Gemara, Leimatanan Stama, the Laker of Gamliel. So it sounds like we have a Stam Mishnah, a Mishnah without any opinions, a Mishnah that states the din straight, which says what? Laker of Gamliel. Not like Rav Gamliel that says the husband is believed. Rav Gamliel, we had Rav Gamliel many times over the last week. And what does Rav Gamliel say? That she is believed. So seemingly we have a Stam Mishnah without names, going not like Rabbi Gamliel. Answers the Gemara, Afilu Tamer Rav Gamliel. No, you can say the Mishnah is Rav Gamliel. Ad Kanlu Kam Rav Gamliel Hasam. When did Rav Gamliel say his din el bari v'shema? Rav Gamliel only said his din in the case of bari, certainty, v'shema, and a case of doubt, as we've seen, that when the woman says, I am certain, I am sure that this is what happened. For example, Mira says, Tani na nasti, that after everything, someone was ma'anis me, someone forcefully lived with me, and the Baal and the husband responds, no, it wasn't, it was before. Husband can't know 100%, so he's a Shema. The woman could know 100%, she's a Bari. So when she's a Bari and he is a Shema, that is when we say that the woman has a believability. But in our case, it's a Bari Ubari. The woman saying, that both the woman and the husband or the children are saying, no, you were not a basula. So we're having a debate right now. What happened 10 years ago? Was she a basula or not? And both of them are bari. So you would think, so in this case, Rav Gamliel does not say his din. So is the Mishnah like Rav Gamliel? The answer is yes. Is it a kasha on Rav Gamliel? No. Why is it not a kasha on Rav Gamliel? The reason is because Rav Gamliel wasn't talking about our case. Rav Gamliel was talking about a case of bari and shema, and our Mishnah is a case of bari and bari lo yamar. Ask the Gemara, Udika Irila, Maika Irila. Always a good question. What was your Havamina? What were you thinking? Bariu. The Mishnah is a case of Bari. So why did you ask? Our Mishnah is not like Rav Gamliel. Obviously, shkayach, it's apples and oranges, apples and airplanes. They have nothing to do with each other. Our Mishnah is bari, and Rav Gamliel is bari and Shema. What was your thought process, asked the Gemara? What was your hava amina to think that the Mishnah has anything to do with Rav Gamliel? Answers the Gemara, no, beautiful hava amina. Kivan de roiv nashim besules nises. Most women, we have a roiv. Most women, when they get married, are besula. So maybe you would think Kibari Vishema Dami, the fact that the woman has a roiv on her side, the woman has the majority of the world saying that it was a besula, and she says that she's a besula. Maybe her claim together with the Roiv gives it a status of a Bari versus the husband's Shema, and that's the Havamina, that the Mishnah is not like Rav Gamliel, and the Chiddush is, no, it has nothing to do with Rav Gamliel. And now the Gemara points out, V'achinam Mistabra, and in truth, the Havamina is Gishmak, it makes a lot of sense. Medikatani, Maida Rav Yeshua, because the end of the Mishnah said, remember that cryptic line, in Rav Yeshua's Maida, who's he Maida to, who's he talking to? So, Amr Samai Rav Gamliel, if you tell me that the ratio, the first part of the Mishnah, is Rav Gamliel's opinion, then everything is great. Rav Gamliel, if you tell me that the first part of the Mishnah has nothing to do with Rav Gamliel, but Maida Rav Yeshua, Laman Maida, to who is Rav Yeshua Maida? So it makes a lot of sense that the first part of the Mishnah is Rav Gamliel. Answers the Gemara, what do you mean? What's the big deal? Answers the Gemara, whether Rav Yeshua is Maida, the end of the Mishnah has nothing to do with the Resha. The first part of the Mishnah, isolated in whether the woman has a believability, she needs Eidim, that she was a Basula. Why? It's a case of Bari Ubari, says the Gemara, nothing like Rav Gamliel. The Mishnah continues and says, Umayda Rav Yeshua admits, says the Gemara, yeah, you know what he admits to? He admits to a din about Amigu, and it's going in the first barak. It has nothing to do with our discussion. So great. So the Gemara concludes that the first part of the Mishnah is not like Rav Gamliel. It could be Rav Gamliel, or Rav Gamliel is not talking about this case. Why not? Because Rav Gamliel is talking about a case of Bari and Shema, and our Mishnah is Bari and Bari. But now we go to case number 2 in the Mishnah. Umayde Rav Yeshua. Rav Yeshua is Maida. If I say the field belonged to your father and I bought from him, Pesha Usr, the mouth that says forbidden is a Pesha Hitter, is a mouth that says a mutter, and therefore he's believed. Ask the Gemara now, Ahai. On what case is Rav Yeshua going in which he admits? And the Gemara already keyed us off that he's going in a case of Migu that we would have thought in the previous case she has a believability or not. And in this case, Umayde Rav Yeshua, even though in that case she's not believed, in this case she is believed. And now we're going to have a beautiful Chazara of the past few days block going into all the cases that we spoke about. Says the Gemara, if it's going back into the Mishnah Daf Yomi Gimel, that says, the woman is pregnant, and we ask her, what is the nature of the child that you're about to be born? And she responds, to Kayin. And Rav Gamliel says, she's believed. Rav Yeshua says she's not believed. And on that case, Rav Yeshua over there says she's not believed to say the nature of the Ober when she's pregnant. But in our case, she is believed. Ask the Gemara, Hasamai Miguika. There's no migu in that case. There's no other thing she could have claimed in the case when she is pregnant. Why not? Everyone sees she's pregnant, so she has no way to deny it. The migu is, I could have said something better, so believe me what I'm saying now. She had nothing better to say because everyone sees she's pregnant. So what do my dear Rav Yeshua? That case, she's not believed. In our case, she is believed. What's the haida? There was no migu in that case. Allah, case number 2, we see her talking with someone else. This was the Mishnah, also on the bottom of Yud Gimel. We ask her, what's the nature of the man you were talking with? Ish plenty of a kainu. She says he's a kain. She's not believed. Again, what is the case over there? Again, a beautiful chazara. Liz, what is Iri? See that the machlek is over there in the case of midaberes talking. Midaberes nistera means they were secluded, they were in yichud. So there is a migu. What's the migu? Migu dibay amar lo nevalti. She could have claimed out of the seclusion and said, we didn't do anything. So believe me that I'm saying who the nature of the man was. Because we could have said we didn't do anything, and I'm admitting that something happened. So now I have a migu, I have a reason you should believe what I'm saying. According to Rav Asi, what does midaberes mean? It means the Eidim saw them having relations. My migu, because there's no migu, there's nothing else she could have said. So that attempt is out the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, attempt number 3, the Mishnah on the top of Yud Gimel. She says, it's true, I don't have my besulim, but they came out via an external force, via a piece of wood. And he says, no, you had relations. She's believed. She's not believed. Says Gemara again, what else could she have said? According to Rav Elazar, that explained that what was the fight in that Mishnah, what was the fight between Mukas 8 and Jusas Ish, was whether she gets 100 or nothing. So then, Migu Dibaya Amra Mukas 8 and Itachtecha, she could have said, I was a Mukas 8 after Erisin, and then what would have happened according to Rav Elazar of Islam Masayim? And yet, what does she say? V'kamra Meikara, I was always a Mukas 8, and therefore, Delesei Alamana Mehemna. Then you're right, there's a migu. Again, because she's saying I was Mukas 8 before Erisin, and according to Rav Elazar, she only gets 100 in that case. If she would have said Mukas 8 after Erisin, she would get 200. But says the Gemara, that's only Rav Elazar. It was a machlekes that learned that Mishnah. That the debate between husband and wife saying Mukas 8, husband saying Jusas Ish, is a debate between 200 and 100. Because Rav Yochanan learns that when a woman says Mukas 8, she gets 200. My miga equal, there's no miga, there's nothing else she could have said. Ella, says the Gemara, you're right. It must be talking about the following Mishnah on Daf Yud Beis. We're going backwards. We started on the bottom of Yud Gimel, and Alpha to the top of Yud Gimel. Now we're going back to Yud Beis and Beis. Hanoisi is a Isha of Lamatzla, Besulam, someone gets married and she does not find Besulam Yameretz. What does she say? Misherestani Nasti. She says that after Iris and after the engagement, that is when someone was ma'anis and forcefully lived with me. When it's your fault, my husband, I'm sorry, it's bad luck. And the husband says, before Eristin. And what's the migu? This is a beautiful migu in this case. Remember, we spoke about Rashi on that Mishnah, you said this migu. She could have said, it's true, I don't have Besulim. You know why? Because it was taken out with an external instrument, Mukas 8, after Eristin. And then, what would she have gained? She would not be pasal ikuna. But what did she say? She said, someone forcibly lived with me, someone raped me, and then what happens? And that's the reason why in that case, Rav Neil says she has a believability. Why? She has a migu. She said, that after Erisin, someone forcibly lived with me. She could have said it was Mukas 8. She would have gained that she can now marry a Kayin. Now she lost out, so she has a migu. She could have had a better claim. Says Rav Gamliel, she has a believability. Become Rav Yeshua. The Rav Gamliel, Bahai migu duhacha modina lecha. Now our Mishnah makes a lot of sense. The Rav Yeshua is telling Rav Gamliel in our Mishnah, and after Zvavim Abiz, we begin the second parak, says Rav Yeshua, this case, the case of Pesha Asar, that's the case I agree with you, Rav Gamliel, that there's a believability. But in your case, on Daf Yud Beis and Beis, I disagree. Says the Gemara. Beautiful. We found the case which Rav Gamliel says is amigo, Rav Yeshua says not, and in our Mishnah Rav Yeshua says, but in this case she is believed. Mechli asked the Gemara, Hai Migu, 7 lines to the bottom, Hai Migu, Maishna Hai Migu, Hai Migu. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. What's the difference? Why in our case, in our Mishnahs, if Yeshua is saying that there is a believability to say the field belonged to your father and now I bought it, but in that case, back over there, she's not believed to say Misheres Tani Nasti. In both cases, there's a better claim that the person could have said. There is a Migu. So why in both cases doesn't Rav Yeshua agree that there's a believability? Answers the Gemara. A very simple answer. In the case of the field, there's no shar shachat as a quote unquote. There's no ox slaughtered in front of us, meaning no one's bringing up a case. I'm starting off the whole case, and of course this is the basic understanding of Pesha Asar. Then in our case, what's going on over here? He's saying this field, by the way, it used to be your father. No one even knew. No one was talking about this. In the previous case, it was a shar shachat. There was a debate. There was a din taira. The husband said, I didn't find the besulim. So in that case, Rav Yeshua says there's no believability, but in our case, there is. Ask the Gemara 1 second. Now we're going back. Daf's a little bit out of order today. First part of the daf dealt with the first case of the Mishnah. Second part of the daf dealt with Rav Yeshua. Now on the bottom of the Zayin and Aleph, we're going back to the first part of the Mishnah that said that the woman's only believed to say she's a basula if she has edim, that she went out with this hemuna, that her hair was down, that they were giving out klayos, they were giving out parched green at the wedding. But if there are no edim, she's not believed. Ask the Gemara 1 second. What happened to the Raiv? We brought in this idea, we entertained this idea on the top of the Amid to bolster her taina, but now the Gemara asks clearly, why not? Why isn't the Raiv enough to say that she was a basula? Amar Ravina, 3 lines on the bottom. Misham, Tikla Meimar, Roiv Nashem Besulas Nisis. It's true there's a Roiv, but Umiyot Almanis. And the minority of cases, she's not a Besula. And whenever someone marries a Besula, there's a call. Everyone knows about it. As the last Rashi Lamed says, everyone knows about it. And in this case, as we turn over to Amid Beis, why doesn't anyone know? We have a debate here between husband and wife, or wife and husband's children, and no one remembers, was she a Besula? Why not? Usually, whenever there's a basula, there's a whole rash, there's a whole commotion, there's a tumult. Everyone knows what's going on. Everyone knows that they're going out with saying numas. We'll see in a moment what exactly that means. So why in this case do they not know? Israel Ruba, that's called a Reisa. That weakens the Rov. And since it weakens the Rov, therefore she is not believed. Ask the Gemara 1 second on Tazayin Maviz, 2 lines down. He called this is Besula Yesh Lakal. If everyone gets married to the Besula, there's a call. Ki also Eidim Havi. Now we flip the question back on you. So what do Eidim help? There should have been a call. Hanei Sadi Shakrininu. Maybe the Eidim are lying because no one knows about this. Elam Ravina. I'll tell you as follows. Not every case is there a call. Most of the times there's a call. In the call, Israel a ruba. It ruins it, it weakens it a little bit. But now the Eidim could come and bolster it. So it's not that we assume there's always, but the Roiv, therefore the Eidim are believed. Says the Gemara, now we're going to deal with exactly what is the case in the Mishnah. Mishla Eidim Jatza Be'inuma, 5 lines down to Zayin and Beis. Ask the Gemara. Excuse me, we're not going into the case yet. Said in the Mishnah, Eidim come in and say, we remember the wedding shoes of Basula. Whether they remember there was this Einuma, whether they remember her hair was down, whether they remember they gave out these kloyos, and then she gets her ksuba. Ask Gemara, 1 second. Let's play out the case. She's sitting here in New York. The Eidim come in and testify she was a Basula, beautiful. She gets her ksuba of 200. You know we should be nervous? She's going to go next month. She's going to fly down to Florida. She's going to pull out now her piece of paper, the ksuba, and say, hey, they never paid this up. Look, I have a document saying that my ex-husbands or the kids or whatnot owe me the money. So she's going to double collect. V'gav she'll collect with it. Amar Avavua, Zaysemer is a fundamental din, says Avua. Kaisvin Shaver. We write a receipt. That what do we do anytime someone pays up? What do we do is we write a receipt and we give it to the party so they have protection. So it's true, she comes in with Eidim saying I was a Basula. Wonderful. They obligate either the husband or his kids to pay her 200. They pay 200. The Bezdin writes a receipt and gives it to the kids. So the husband says, hold on to this. So now, let's say next month, she flies down to Florida, pulls out her ksuba and says, wait, the kids, the husband owes me money. Their husband and the kids will show up and say, no, here's my shaver. Here's my receipt. So Zaisai Meres, from here we learn, it's teaching us, we write a receipt. We don't have to necessarily return the document. If I owe you $100, you have a document saying I owe you $100. What happens when I pay you that $100? There's two things to do. Either you could give me back the original document, I'll rip it up, or you'll write a receipt that it was paid. So says Ravua, from our case, we learned that we're not ripping up the original ksuba, we write a receipt. Rav Papa Amar, a different answer. We're dealing with a place that they didn't write a ksuba. So since there is no ksuba in existence, there's no concern the husband's going to pull out a ksuba at a later date because they don't write a ksuba in this place. And now the Gemara says, Vika de Masla Braisa. And there are some who learned that the previous exchange between Rav Papa and Rav Avua, exactly the case in our Mishnah on the following Braisa. The Braisa says, if the Ksubasa, she lost her Ksuba, Hitmina Ksubasa, she hit her Ksuba, Nisra Ksubasa, or Ksuba was burnt up, Rak Telefanel, then what happens? If there are Eidim that said they danced before at the wedding, they joked around in front of her, they passed a certain cup in front of her, or they have the table, the bed sheets that show she was a basula. So then, if there's Eidim from any of these practices that remember that the wedding that she was a basula, Ksubasa Mesayim. End of Braisa. On this Braisa, we asked the same question. We asked our Mishnah. Why are we concerned? She'll have Eidim and collect in this place, and she'll take her Ksub and collect in that place. The Gavya Ba. Omer Rav Avua Zaysemeris. What do we see from over here? Kaisvin Shaiva write a receipt. Rav Papa Markim Shein Kaisvin Ksuba. We're dealing with a place they did not write a Ksuba. Says the Gemara, we deal with the place didn't write a Ksuba. Oh, the Ksubas Likadani. It said in the Braisa that she lost her Ksuba. Obviously, there was a Ksuba. Says the Gemara, you're right. The Kasla Iu. It's a unique case. The husband wrote a Ksuba, he didn't have to. But Saif says the Gemara, great, but Mafkulav Gavyaba. So she's going to pull out that Ksuba and she's going to go collect with it. So why are we letting her collect with Eidim? Answers the Gemara, my Ivda. What does it mean? She lost it? Ivda Ba'ar. It was burnt up in a fire. Says the Gemara, Yach Anu Nisrfa. That's the next case of the Braisa says it was burnt up. And furthermore, the Braisa said a third case. Hitmina said that she hit it. Michael Ameimar. Visu. Ivda Lamali. Why do we need a case? If it's all the same case, why do I have to say it twice? Elakol Ivda Kitmina Bifenenu Dami. What does it mean that she lost it? What it means that she lost it is, it's as if it was hidden. And we're never going to give it to her until she procures Eidim that says it was burnt. So anytime she walks in without the Eidim, without the Ksuba, she needs Eidim to say that the Ksuba was burnt up. And therefore, that's the reason why Rav Papa says she's believed. And that's the same exchange in Rav Papa and Rav Avua. Comments the Gemara, the one that says it in this second case, certainly they're going to agree that this is the din in our Mishnah. But why not Kikushia? The one that learned the exchange between Rav Avua and Rav Papa, whether they write a shayver, whether they didn't have a ksuba, is going to say that's only in the Mishnah. In the Brisa is different. Kikushia, the Brisa was shver, because the Brisa said that they lost the ksuba. It's true that you answered and you made up different ways of learning the Brisa, but it's not a very easy way of learning it. So one that learned the exchange between Rav Papa and Rav Avua in the Mishnah will say it's only on the Mishnah, but not on the Brisa. Says the Gemara about 20 lines to the bottom. The first line is Ki Kushya Im Yesh Edim. Asks the Gemara V'leichash Dilma Mafke Edi Enuma B'Hai Bezdina V'Gava De Mafke Edi Enuma B'Hai Bezdina Achrina V'Gavya. Ask the Gemara a question I'm sure was bothering many people. The previous old Gemara was busy dealing with that we're nervous she'll collect with Eidim in this Bezdin and then collect with the Ksuba in that Bezdin. Says the Gemara, I don't understand. Why aren't we also nervous she'll collect with Eidim in this Bezdin and Eidim with this Bezdin? Why are we concerned to that detail? Answers the Gemara, you're right. Sure, anytime there is such a concern, Vadai Kasvinan Shaifer. In a place where there is no ksuba, and they collect based on Eidim like the whole previous exchange of the Gemara, says the Gemara, you're right, we're going to have to, and we're forced to write a receipt. Because if you don't write a receipt, you can just bring Eidim in one Bezdin, bring Eidim in another Bezdin, and there's no protection for the ex-husband, for the children, so it must be, we write a receipt. Now says the Gemara, if you lefanei koshel basura, we'll finish with this. The previous Brisa said a few ways of knowing that she was a basula. One of them was they passed a cup in front of her. Says the Gemara, Michael shall besura. What is this case of besura of an announcement? We pass a cup of wine of truma, as if to tell everyone, this woman is fitting to eat truma, meaning she was never previously married. She's allowed to marry a kohen, and then she'd be allowed to get truma. So the symbolic concept of passing a cup of truma in front of you is to show, she's a besula. She could have married a kohen. And that shows that she's a besula. 1 second, Masla Rapapa, Almana Milachla Bechuma. Says Rapapa, what? 1 second. A Grusha, you right, can't marry a Kayin. But an Almana, if she really wasn't a besula, she was not a besula. She had relations, and she's an Almana, her husband died. She's allowed to marry a Kayin. She can't marry a Kayin Kadal, but she can marry a Kayin. Elam Rapapa, you're right, Zurashis Kechuma Rashis. You know what the symbolism is? That just like the cup of Chuma is the first, so too this woman is her first, meaning she is a besula. Tanya, we learned in a Brayser of Yudai Merchava Shal Yayin Mavir Lefanel. They didn't pass a cup in front of her; they passed a whole barrel. Amar Ravad Barava Besula Mavir Lefanel. Stuma Bula Mavir Lefanel Besucha. Ravad Barava says a little bit different. You know what they used to do? If she was a besula, she never was married, never had relations. They paired a barrel that was closed. If she was a ba'ula, a woman that had relations, they passed a barrel that's open. They'd have a whole procedure, whole procession at the wedding. Ask the Gemara, Amai, why according to Ravad Barava do they do this? Never kame besula, bekam bula never. Why don't we just say, if she's a besula, pass the barrel. If she's not a besula, don't pass the barrel. Why do you have to one time pass it closed and one time pass it open? Answers the Gemara, Klal, Zimnin detavsa masayim. You know why? Because she's going to claim 200, even when they did not pass the barrel. And she's going to say, why didn't they pass the barrel? It's Nisa, it was an Ainis. So to prevent that, in every case, as Rav Barava, we always pass something in front of her. So now she can't claim it was an Ainis. If she's a besula, it's a closed barrel, showing she's a closed woman, she never had relations. If she's a ba'ula, then it's an open barrel. We'll pick it up from Tanur Rabban, the famous Gemara of Ketzim Merak and Lefnei Akala, and the next year, B'siyata Dishmayo.